Now, as we continue the series, I'll continue to talk about some of the Cobras that I've come across that had stuff done to the paintwork on them, stickers put on them. I mention that often, and I keep finding more pictures that I've saved over the years. And I looked for a while to find this picture. I knew it was there somewhere, and I did find it. And this car, I believe, had a blown engine. I think it was a Kenny Bell car, and it was raced a lot. And I remember it being sold as a roller. I think it was like $10,000 or something. So pretty cool car. But again, you can see there's stickers on it, and you just think some people really can't help themselves with competition orange. It seems like they have to put stickers or stripes or something on it. And there was another one I came across too as well, this convertible, one of 72, and they had put stripes on it and a sticker on the front fender. And even the owner said, "I'm very happy to have this car. It's one of 72. Unfortunately, it has untasteful cosmetic upgrades, and I will be returning it to stock." So that was good to see that, and at least he admitted it. So I don't feel bad saying it because he feels the same way. But it just seems like people can't leave these alone. If you look closely, you'll notice it has GTR stitched on the seats and the GTR on the fender. Now, there have been a few, like this one, that had a little higher mileage. You can see the fade on the bumpers, looks really bad, and the owner went ahead and repainted this car, and it's very nice to see this car getting what it deserves. And, just like older muscle cars, these are getting to the point where people are restoring them and giving them new paint jobs, and they're really nice when they're done. So it's something that can be done to these. Now, I prefer the original paint on the cars if possible, but in some cases that's not possible. These cars can be found and picked up, and people are willing to put some money into them and clean them up and maybe repaint them or whatever. But they're very sought after. I've seen quite a few competition orange where to buy or want to buy posts, and some people have been really excited to get some of these cars recently and put some money into them and make them look nice. But you can see the bumper fade, and the interior still pretty nice on this one. It was changed to an automatic, and it had a nice Whipple, and but it's pretty cool to see. Now, there was this convertible, and I wanted to show some pictures of it. It's up in Canada. Somebody in the comments said they really liked the convertibles, and so I thought I'd include some pictures of this car in there and how nice it looked. And speaking of convertibles, I did do a story a little while ago of this one that was really worn out. It had over 150,000 miles. The paint was destroyed. It had rust in the strut towers. It was parted out, but somebody did buy it as a roller, and they're restoring it. And one of 72, definitely a rare car. And comp orange is one of the most sought after colors these days, and so it's nice to see somebody restoring this car. And this next one, I'm not sure if this was comp orange or a torch red car. Somebody said it was orange, but it was very interesting to see the picture of this one. Now, recently, it's been come to light that there were about 10 of these competition orange cars that were sold with the satin wheels, or the machined wheels as they're known as, that were actually built this way from the factory or ordered this way. Most of the competition orange Cobras came with the chrome wheels like mine did. I definitely prefer the chrome wheels, but I do like the machine wheels. I have a set of the machine wheels as an extra spare set that I bought, and I've learned to enjoy them and appreciate them for what they are, even though they're not as nice, and the chrome wheels were the optional, nicer wheels. And this one in the picture has the machine wheels. Whether it came that way or not, whether it's competition orange or not, I'm not sure, but this could be one of 10 cars if that was the case for this one. So my brother and I had started a local muscle car page on Facebook, and it was a pretty good group. It has over 100 members in it, and we used to go on a lot of cruises. It was a lot of fun, and now, it's hard to get 10 people to show up just because everybody's schedules are different, and some people just look at the post when you say, "Hey, we're going to meet up here today." Nobody RSVPs. Nobody says, "Hey, I'm coming." Some people will just think, "Well, I'll decide if I want to go, and I'll show up if I want to." And that's fine, but it's just difficult because then people show up and say, "Hey, where's everybody else?" And, they're always waiting for my brother or me to set something up when anybody can set it up. But anyway, this was a cruise we went on to a new Walmart they built nearby. It's about 30 minutes away, but it's really nice to go on a back road cruise to get there. So we used to like going there. It was a new building, new parking lot. It was kind of fun. And so I was in the orange Cobra here. You can see the spoiler of it there in the picture, and that's my friend's blue Mach 1. And that's how you can always tell it's his in the pictures, because he has that scuba certified plate on the front of it. And behind him was my friend's black 2013 Coyote, and then a Challenger, a couple Challengers there. Those were both RTs, and then a Camaro. And so it was fun just to go on the back roads and meet up, and we would do this pretty often. And it was mostly muscle cars. You can see there's a 350Z there who came along, but this was the new Walmart out here, and it was really nice. It was always fun to go there, and we had a great time cruising and getting together, and we'd stand there and talk and talk and talk just for hours in the parking lot. So there's my brother's Cobra, my Cobra, and the blue Mach 1, and then everyone else started to park. So this is the same cruise, but pretty good lineup there of muscle cars just going down the road and having fun. And so we would do this, we tried to do it every weekend, but sometimes it was that often, but other times we'd go by for months without doing anything. And then maybe if it gets cold, then people don't want to get out as much, even though there's no snow here or anything. But anyway, fun cruises through the back roads here. And this is a nice little cutout in the canyon. You may have seen that in some of my last videos. And we would meet in this big parking lot here. Unfortunately, they just tore up this entire parking lot, and they're going to build some high-rise apartment buildings here. But this was a really fun place to meet. It was really open. From left to right, it's a friend's Challenger RT, my friend's C5 Z06, my orange Cobra, the white Terminator. That's a red Lightning, and then my friend's 3-valve that had a GT500 body kit. They'd also paved a new highway that we love to drive on. You've probably seen it in my videos. I do a lot of drive-bys out here. It's where I tested the exhaust in one of the previous videos I just did. And it's a fun place to go. Friend's white Terminator behind me, and the Z06, the Lightning, the GT, Sometimes you get a little race, and the Z06 and the white Terminator went at it here. I believe the Cobra won. It was pretty cool. And the friend with the Z06 was like, man, that's a fast car. So it was just fun to do that and then pull over and everyone get out and talk and hang out and just be out enjoying our cars in the desert. So it was just fun to meet up as much as we could. And it was really just what we did, and our friends could all come, their wives could come, their girlfriends. So it was a good meet up. It was really fun just to have these cars, and it made it fun to have. It made everybody enjoy their car more because we do stuff all the time. And we went out here to Zion National Park. That was probably one of the longer, farther away cruises I've taken my Cobra on. And just a nice meet up there. My friend's Charger, my Cobra, my friend's WS6 Trans Am. That Trans Am was really fast. It made 540 wheel recently. It has an LS3 that's been punched out. I think it's a 408 or something now. And it has a cam and everything. It sounds really good. It has heads. And then there's a red C5 next to it, and then the Charger RT, and a Hot Wheels edition blue Camaro. And so it was just really cool to meet up in nice places like this and enjoy the cars together. And so that was fun out at Zion. And we'd meet up at night and go to gas stations. This is one of my favorite pictures of all of us just taking over a gas station with all of our muscle cars and having a fun time. It was really cool, and I was just so proud to have my orange Cobra. I just got it, and everybody's excited to have what they love. And there's some pretty fast cars here. The Kenny Bell Silver GT there, and my friend's blue Z06 there on the end. Lots of fun cars. The Mach 1s my friends had. Brother-in-law's Trans Am. Really fun cars. And so I really enjoyed this. We did have a friend with a black convertible Terminator. He didn't come out very much. And of course, my friend had his other silver one. But, we'd meet together. We'd cruise down and go watch the races. And it was always fun to have the cars to do fun things with and enjoy muscle cars together and try to just all get along. There's always something fun to do, and it was better when we'd all get together and do our own thing, because people would meet at the local In-N-Out, but it was mostly import cars, and they hated the muscle cars and stuff. And my friend has a GTR here, but he wasn't part of the import group. But anyway, it was just cool here, my brother's Cobra there, everyone having fun, getting in and just enjoying time. Now, there was an issue my Cobra had where the battery light kept coming on while I was driving. Now, this was an intermittent problem where it would do it sometimes and then it would go away. Now, something you might not know unless you own one of these cars is the 03, 04 Cobras do not have a battery gauge. They have a boost gauge where the battery gauge used to be. Now, the biggest problem with that is you cannot keep an eye on the voltage of the battery or the charging system of the car. And the reason that's a big problem is these 0304 Cobras are known for burning up alternators. They spin them too fast. They were not really adequate when they were from the factory. I've heard them say they're the same as the V6 alternator. And especially when you start upgrading these cars and putting a lot of fuel through them and really taxing that alternator and the heat where it's located, because the alternator is now located closer to the exhaust manifolds than it used to be, where it was on top of the engine on the other Cobras or 4 valves. And in the case of my friend Juan here with the beautiful Redfire Terminator, he lost his engine because his alternator went out. And you might think that's funny, how can a bad alternator ruin your engine? Well, the answer is when you're running 20 pounds of boost and you're full throttle racing somebody and your fuel pumps stop giving the engine the fuel it needs, the car leans out and it melts pistons. And so unfortunately he learned the hard way and it destroyed the engine on this 50-something thousand mile Cobra. And so here's the video in my garage looking at the piston when we got it out. Yeah, slightly used. So this is my buddy's Terminator, not mine. Luckily, look at that bad boy. And so my friend had this white 03 Cobra, and we'd be driving around at night, and all of a sudden his gauges would start dimming, and his headlights would start dimming, and his alternator was dying out on it. And he replaced the alternator, and my brother helped him do that, and he sold the car, like I had talked about earlier in the series. And when the guy bought it, they went for test drive, and they beat on it a lot, and it killed the alternator again. And so the alternators are known for being overspun if you pulley the car down and spin that alternator too fast, and the heat, like I said, from the regulator inside the alternator. Now sometimes you can put a bigger pulley on the alternator and slow it down so it doesn't overspin it. Or the best thing to do is upgrade, and I had bought a Mechman alternator for my red Cobra when I built it up. The orange Cobra still has the stock one on it, and we'll get to that in a second here. I'm just going on a little tangent of what I did because I did not want to ruin the engine on my car from it leaning out. So I bought this really nice, expensive Mechman, and it's been a really nice alternator. And I also did a big upgrade on it with what they call the Big 3 upgrade kit, where you add 0 gauge wire, and this is the external regulator right there, and so I could put that anywhere else I wanted so it's away from the heat of the engine. So there's the whole process of when I was doing all this, and you got the big 0 gauge wires for the grounds and the battery, and there's the external regulator. I put it behind the headlight there, and it stays cool there, and that way you don't have the heat of the engine burning up the alternator. So that looked really good. I'm very happy I did this. And this was, not easy. It was preventative maintenance and it was expensive, but I did it because I didn't want that to happen to my car. And, there's some wiring involved and everything. But back to my orange Cobra, it had that light coming on and off, and that's really one of the few ways you can tell if the alternator is having problems or not sometimes. Now in this case, I wasn't sure because the lights weren't dimming or anything. I wasn't seeing any problems with it. I would just see that battery light come on and off. It would flicker sometimes. And so I asked my dad about it. And he was an A&P mechanic. He owned his own flight school. He worked on his airplanes my whole life. And I watched what he did. He was in the Air Force and worked on big jets and stuff, and so he was just like the best at everything. So I asked him about this, and he said, well, let's check the charging system, and he brought his voltmeter over, and we jacked the car up and we were running it, and it was, charging fine. He was testing the alternator and the battery and all sorts of things, and he was saying, no, the alternator is good. Even when that light's on, it's not changing anything. And so he said, they do sell this little thing you can plug into the cigarette lighter, and it has a voltage readout of your charging system. He said, maybe we should go pick one of those up, and then you'll always know what your voltage is, and just keep an eye on it and see if it becomes a problem. And so what's special is this is the only picture I have of him with my Cobra. This is the only time he rode in the Cobra with me before he had passed away. And so we drove the Cobra to AutoZone, and we went to see if they had one of those, and they didn't have it in stock, and so I ordered one off the internet. But I really like this picture because this was him just hanging out, going for a ride in the Cobra. He didn't really care that much for it. He didn't care about the Mustangs as much. He was very supportive of my hobbies and everything, but there were only a couple of times we actually worked on the Mustangs together. And one time my EGR tube on my V6 was split, and he welded it shut for me and stuff like that. But usually he was just kind of around and didn't care much about the cars, didn't really get excited about them, but that was okay. And so at least I had a chance to go with my dad and go drive around in the Cobra once and let him see what I really loved, and it was a good time. And he helped me figure out the charging system on it. So I would just take that gauge and drive around, and it stayed charging nicely even with the light on, and it would flicker. And I did have somebody tell me that they're pretty sure it's just one of the wires that goes to the harness there, and they had the same problem. So I've kept an eye on it, and it seems like it's fine. It's never given me any idea to believe that the alternator actually has a problem. And even if it does, I did take the stock alternator off my red Cobra in perfect running order, and so I have that one as a backup. And so that's just something that was, one of the issues that the car had. And, other than that, the car's been great. But I enjoyed doing a little photo shoot with my car. I just pulled them all into this cul-de-sac that was behind the garage and had them. That's when I had my red Mach 1, beautiful car. But I still have the rest of all of these Mustangs. And I actually had sold the Bullet and then bought it back recently. And so this was just kind of a fun little walk around just to see all the cars, but it's part of the history of the Cobra. Like I said, I drive all of these a little bit more than the Cobra, and then the Cobra has always just been kind of in the garage. I daily drove that red Mach 1 for 20,000 miles, and that was fun. But the Cobra was always just kind of there, and just nice Saturday morning, get up and do some things and go for a drive, and my wife's flowers looking good, and
These things are
that was really
huge.
fun. So we would take the Cobra and go for drives, and this is a beautiful morning, beautiful day. The car looked great, and I love driving out in this area. These pictures are really nice, and I've looked through these pictures and studied them, and there's a really nice new place out here, and lots of really expensive homes out here in gated communities, but a beautiful place to drive. It's desert landscape, but they've added some nicer desert landscape to it to make it look even better. And so beautiful time to be out cruising the car. And that's what I would do with my wife. We'd get our kids and we'd get in the car and we'd go drive around a little bit and just enjoy having the Cobra out this way. They actually built a nice new grocery store, and it had a big flagpole there with a huge American flag, so it was fun to take some pictures there. We'd go into the store and get some snacks and go drive around a little more. There's just something about seeing it in person. Pictures do a good job, but being there in person is just cooler. You can see the American flag reflection on the windshield a little bit. I like that picture a lot. Go out and take some pictures here. You got the shine on the wheel. It kind of look cool, and I try to get it without the glare on it, but beautiful competition orange in the bright sun. And in the fall months, it seems like the sun is just a little bit more clear and pure. It's a little brighter. There's some golden hour aspect to it as well, but it just seems like the sun's just a little bit brighter for some reason, and a little more clear and like bright white instead of hazy color. My wife and I were just talking about that. There's a nice gas station out here, nice place to stop. But these were a lot of really great moments. This is a nice big parking lot and a nice new church that they had built and paved, and we'd go park out there and then just go walk around in the nice afternoon. And so here's just our family hanging out, Woohoo! Family cruise. So nice out here. So this was just a really nice place to be with the Red Rocks, and like I had said, I was doing mobile detailing with my friend, and so I'd go work out in these areas, and then I'd feel like when I was done I wanted to just get in my Cobra and drive back there with the family and enjoy the evening, and so we would do that. And like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and you can look at this picture and just see an orange Cobra parked in an empty parking lot, but to me, I look at this and I just see a time in my life of enjoying the car. And when I'd go out and do this and walk around and see the Cobra there, it just looked so cool. And I was just so excited to see it there. And it looked good from far away. It looked good up close. So I take pictures. But on one hand, it's not the same as being there in person. But on the other hand, it's nice to have the pictures to look back and enjoy and reminisce a little bit. And so I just enjoyed taking the Cobra out and say, let's go for a drive. We'll go get something to eat, or we'll just go drive around a little bit and spend time together and take some pictures. I'm not a photographer. I actually bought a really nice Canon Rebel DSLR camera for my wife to take pictures with, and you would think that I would take that out there and take pictures and stuff, but some of these pictures I think were actually taken with that camera, but there's so many settings on it and stuff, it's hard to get it to do what I want it to, and I just feel like my iPhone took just as good and clear pictures and videos, so I usually just used it. But anyway, that's just kind of driving the Cobra around, enjoying it, taking it home, letting it cool down, open the hood, and spend time with family. So that's the update for now. We got more coming. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more on the story of this competition orange Terminator Cobra and for more Mustang content.